This is Artemis Launch Control at T-minus 40 minutes and holding. I just spoke with Launch Director Charlie Blackwell Thompson, who said that her team is still working on a troubleshooting plan for engine number 3 that had the issue with the engine bleed. She's still waiting for more information about that. Engineers are still discussing it and going over some modeling and data. And once they have that ready, they're going to come back to her and have a discussion. And so she says that she's awaiting that. And we are standing by. Again, at T-minus 40 minutes. We'll have more information when we get it. This is Artemis Launch Control with an update. Launch Director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson has called a scrub for today. Again, Launch Director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson has called a scrub of the attempt of launch of Artemis 1 and the Space Launch System with the Orion spacecraft. The issue that came up was an engine bleed that couldn't be remedied, but the rocket is currently in a stable configuration. It was mostly tanked, but not completely tanked. Engineers are now working on a plan to continue gathering data about this particular engine and the bleed that didn't work out. The rocket, the hydrogen bleed rather was a goal of the previous wet dress rehearsal that didn't happen due to a hydrogen leak. So engineers are focused on gathering as much data as they can at this time. So they have not gone to draining the rocket just yet. They're going to keep it in its current configuration and gather that data. To summarize, we held at T-minus 40 minutes and counting after the team was unable to get past engine bleed that didn't show the right temperature once they got into the engine bleed test. And ultimately, the launch director has called a scrub for the day. The earliest opportunity, depending on what happens with this engine bleed, would be September 2nd. That is available to the launch team. However, we will await a determination of what the plan is to go forward to remedy the engine bleed and then go from there. Again, an availability to launch, the next availability to launch is 12:48 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, September 2nd. But we must wait to see what shakes out from their test data that they're currently gathering now and the decision that's made by the launch team about where to go from here. We appreciate you watching NASA TV and our coverage of the Artemis 1 launch attempt. This is Daryl Nail with NASA Communications signing off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Thank you.
We have NASA's Space Launch System and Orion spacecraft out on historic Launch Pad 39B. The launch window opens in less than 24 hours. That's very exciting to say. It's going to be humanity's first step in going back to the moon. Good morning, and thank you for joining us live here at Kennedy Space Center. I'm Megan Cruz with NASA Communications. Liftoff of this first uncrewed flight test is currently targeted for Monday, tomorrow, August 29th, with a 2-hour launch window that opens at 8:33 a.m. Eastern Time. This briefing is to update you all on how the countdown is going so far. Our launch team got on console yesterday morning, and the countdown to launch started exactly at 10:23 a.m. Eastern Time. Here to take your questions are Jeff Spalding, Artemis 1 Senior NASA Test Director, and we have Melody Levin, Launch Weather Officer with the U.S. Space Force.
Good morning.
Good morning to you guys. All right, so let's kick things off with opening remarks. Jeff?
All right, thank you very much. Well, listen, I am very happy to be back here again for the Artemis 1 launch countdown L-1 status brief. We've had a really good day on our first day of the launch countdown. Yesterday, we picked up the count right on time at 9:53, and we started our clock at 10:23 in the morning. Since that time, we've been working really hard. We got the vehicles powered up and have been doing testing throughout the day and evening as we worked along. We did yesterday, you may have seen, we had some, I would call them kind of spectacular, amazing events as we do every day here in Florida. Some lightning things happened. We'll go ahead and I want to mention that up front. We did have some strikes that we recorded on our tower, lightning tower at the pad, working as it nominally should. And we did have those. We've been evaluating those through yesterday and through last night. And everything to date, it looks very good from a vehicle perspective. We haven't had to do any significant retest. We have a threshold that we look at to see what the magnitude of these strikes are. And we did not meet that criteria to have to do intensive or invasive type of retest. So we're able to work all of that yesterday very cleanly with our team, and our management team did approve last night that as well. Those occurred yesterday afternoon at about 1:14 or so in the afternoon. We had a couple events at 1:16. So so far everything looks really good, and as I mentioned, we have gone through and worked all of the evaluations that are normally done when we do have these type of lightning events. And hopefully we won't have any today, but we understand the weather. We'll be talking about that here next, and we'll see what that's gonna bring us. We did do a little bit of retest, which included, we did some canary circuit checks, which are really just, those circuits are there to provide it, if they've seen any type of voltage or things like that might affect the vehicles. Those were all good. We did some walk downs, and then we did the analysis with our system experts as far as of all the data and what those lightning events were. So bottom line is we look really good. No issues, no concerns or constraints from the lightning events at this point. Let's see, so far I did mention we powered up yesterday. Later in the afternoon or last night, we did power up the RF systems on all of the vehicles, on Orion, on the core stage, on ICPS, did those checkouts and tests. Those all went really well. We finished those into the early hours of the morning this morning. We did also work our engine final preps on the core stage yesterday, got through all of those. And again, those finished early this morning as well, about 1 o'clock in the morning. We've done the battery charging on both Orion and the core stage. Those are complete. So that's all going really well and all as planned and on schedule. We are currently pressurizing our helium tanks on the core stage and configuring some of the umbilicals. We've looked ahead at the weather. We know we're going to probably get some later this afternoon. We did have quite a bit of work planned on second shift tonight. We're pulling some of that in to try to get those events going on some of the pad facility closeouts and some of the configurations that we do on some water systems and elevators and some of those other things. So we are trying to be very proactive, looking ahead and evaluating those things and adjusting as required, knowing that we might get some weather as we have the last few days. Let's see, we are going to continue later today with some of the Orion checkouts and some of the health checks that we do on those. Those are just standard and normal that we do. As we get into this tonight, we will be working towards cryo load. And the first part of that is getting on GN2 and inerting the vehicle. We're working those preps later second shift tonight. At about 9:45 or so, we'll be flowing GN2 to the vehicle to inert it to get ready for cryo load later when we get back in after we get done with that. Sorry. We will clear the pad at about 8:30 tonight, just in anticipation of the safe and arm of device rotations that we do, which are normal planned things that we do before we get into cryo load. And that'll happen at about 10:30, and then we'll enter our 2.5-hour built-in hold at 10:53 tonight. I think we've talked a few times that we did extend that quite a while back from what it was previously, but it's 2.5 hours. starting then. Towards the end of that hole at 11:53 tonight, we're expecting to get a go from the launch director and MMT if everything looks good and they've evaluated all the criteria, and we are going to be go for cryo load. That's the timing that we would be looking for to get that, and then we would start the cryo load operations at that time with some of our valve configurations, getting ready to flow cryos. We start on the liquid oxygen side, and then a little bit later, about an hour and a half or so, we start on the hydrogen side on the core stage and work through that. Once the core stage is done, then we fill the upper stage as well throughout the night. We do have the pre-press test, scheduled for about 5:40 a.m. That test shouldn't take us too long. I think it's been talked a couple of times, but it's a test that actually is we do during the terminal part account, and we're just going to do it a little bit early just to get some and evaluate the data there and the performance of the valve, the valving as well, so we can kind of pre-select the positions of some of those valves as we get into terminal count. So that'll help us out a little bit there. We have some final guidance system aligns that we'll be working as we're doing tanking as well. We power up the range safety systems to do some final checkouts about 2 hours or so prior to launch. We'll work all through those as per our normal timelines. We do also have some of our final vehicle and ground configs that we'll do once we get to the hold. There's a hold at T-minus 10 minutes. It's 30 minutes long. That picks up at about 7:53. We do anticipate the opening of the window and hitting that at 8:33 a.m. We have a 2-hour window on our first day. If for some reason we do have to use subsequent days, our nominal plan is to go on the 5th. The opening of that window is at 12:48 local time. And excuse me, the 2nd is the first opportunity. Sorry, it's 4-day turnaround, and then the next opportunity will be on the 5th at 17:12, which is 5:12 in the afternoon. So that's kind of where we are. It's been a really good first day of the launch countdown. We're within 24 hours of launch right now, which is pretty amazing for where we've been on this journey. So our team right now is, I will say, super excited, and we are prepared for anything I think that throws at us. The 4 WDRs we've done in the past really, I think, have prepared us for the moment we're at now for virtually any situation that can come up. But we are excited. The vehicle is going to be ready. It's ready right now. Looks great to proceed with this inaugural launch of the Artemis program. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like we're in a good spot. Thank you for that update. All right, Melody, how's the weather?
Well, the weather's pretty decent this morning, but of course I will talk about the forecast for launch a little bit later. First, I'm going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and toss it off to the satellite imagery. And as we look at satellite this morning, you can see some remnant showers and a leftover thunderstorm or two from last night's activity that rolled through late in the day. Also, as we creep forward in time, as we get to around 10